my name is Kym Wroble. I'm your Waterfront Hy-Vee dietitian, and today I'm going to show you how to make a fall massaged kale salad. Kale is quite the trendy food ingredient right now. It's super nutritious, so I'm thrilled that more and more people are starting to use kale in different types of recipes. But when you go to the grocery store and buy it, the kale obviously is going to be on these thick stems, and these thick stems are not only very chewy, but they're somewhat bitter, and kale as a whole is somewhat of a bitter vegetable. So with this salad, I'm going to show you some different tips and tricks that you can do to tame some of that bitterness and make it more palatable for kids and adults. To start with, you need to get rid of that thick stem, and that's super easy. All you do is hold the stem in one hand, and with your other hand between your two fingers, just slide it down. And you can do that with all your pieces of kale. And we're going to be discarding the stems. You can use the stems in sauteed versions, but you don't really want to use this part for the raw salad. Okay. Once we have all the kale removed from the stem, and this is washed kale, I'm just going to use my chef's knife to rough chop it. It doesn't have to be anything super fancy here. And take those pieces and add it to a bowl. So this is some kale that I've already taken care of. This is about half a head. And what we're going to do next is add a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon or two, a little salt, and a small amount of apple cider vinegar, probably about 2 teaspoons. And what we're going to do next is literally massage it. And what this does, the salt actually physically helps start to break down the cell walls of the kale. And the vinegar does that too, but it does it from the acid in the vinegar. And the oil is going to help soften the leaves. And all three of those things together, the oil or the fat, the salt, and the acid, are going to tame some of that bite that kale tends to have. This is going to take about 2 or 3 minutes, and once I'm done, it will have shrunken to about half its size. So you're going to start with a relatively large amount of kale and just keep massaging it like I am with my fingertips. And if you want a closer look, I'm just rubbing it back and forth like this. This is a really fun job for kids to do, and once they get their hands dirty with this salad, they may be far more willing to eat our autumn kale salad. Okay, for the other ingredients for our kale salad, we're going to use butternut squash. This is butternut squash. It's easy to recognize. Looks like a little a bell or a pear almost. And this thick skin on the outside we have to remove, and you can simply do that using a vegetable peeler. Not real difficult. And once we have that ready to go, we can slice off the ends. And we'll slice off the other end using our chef's knife. It's a little bit more sturdy. You can kind of rotate it and press down as you get to it. But then on the inside there's seeds, just like there would be in a pumpkin. And normally you would have this whole squash peeled before you get to this point, but I just would like to demonstrate how to get rid of those seeds. I like to use some type of strong scoop, and ice cream scoops really well. A measuring cup works really well, a metal one. And you can just discard that. You want to scrape away enough to get rid of that membrane around there, because that can kind of have somewhat of a slimy texture. And once you have all of your seeds and your inside scooped away, just cut it in cubes, about a ½ inch in size. And we're going to roast our butternut squash cubes with a little olive oil again. And olive oil is one of the healthiest cooking oils that we can use. The other one I would recommend would be canola oil. Olive oil will give a slight fruity flavor though, which will work well with the other flavors in this salad. And we're also going to add some of these really fun new carrots that we have. We have these new rainbow colored carrots, and I always like to teach children about nutrition and encourage that they eat the rainbow. Each different color will give slightly different nutrients, and will also give a slightly different flavor profile. Overall, a carrot is a carrot, but with each color you're going to get a little bit of a difference in different types of antioxidants. Okay? So once we have our carrots and our butternut squash, we'll spread that on a roasting pan in a single layer. And you don't want to crowd these guys too closely because what we're hoping for here is when they're in the oven, they're going to caramelize. And all vegetables have a certain amount of innate sugar in them. And at high temperatures, around 400 degrees, those sugars begin to caramelize, and it brings out the natural sweetness in vegetables. So with a little bit of salt and pepper here, we'll be ready to go. You throw this in the oven, and it should be ready in about 20 to 30 minutes. You may want to give it a stir halfway through, but again, you'll know it's done when the edges of your butternut squash and your carrots begin to get slightly brown, and the middle of the squash will be nice and tender. All right, I think we are finally ready to assemble our kale salad. We've got our massaged kale here, and this is our roasted butternut squash with those really cool multicolored carrots. We're gonna add that to the top. When the squash came out of the oven, I did toss it with a simple apple cider vinaigrette, and you'll be able to find that full recipe on Hy-Vee.com. But I tossed it with the vinaigrette while the squash was still warm, and the starchy pieces of squash were able to absorb some of that flavor. So you get a nice fall apple cider flavor throughout each bite. On top of that, we're going to add just a couple handfuls of toasted pumpkin seeds for a little fiber, a little more protein, and a little vitamin E. We'll also add some dried cherries for sweetness for the kids and for color. And of course, cherries are chock full of anthocyanins, which are antioxidants that are helpful for the heart. And we will put a little bit more of the dressing on top. And inside the dressing, you can see here, I have a few red onions. I put the red onions inside of the apple cider vinegar to let it marinate a little bit. And by setting it aside in the dressing, it helps quell some of that bite that red onions can often have. I will also shave just a little bit of the sartori parmesan cheese over the top. And there you have it, our autumn kale salad, our autumn massaged kale salad.